TitleMatchNetwork.com.
So as we started creeping closer to breaking even, I don't remember what year it was, but 94, 95. It was the first year I remember we were about to make money. It was about the same time that I went to Ted through Bischoff and wanted to bring in Hulk Hogan. We were close enough and had enough success. By then, the Disney thing was actually working on a commercial level. The wrestling fans didn't really like it, but from a business perspective, it was starting to work. We were starting to contain our costs. We were eliminating a lot of the human resource issues that were so prevalent earlier. Then they started giving me a little more rope. So I wanted to bring in Hulk Hogan. And again, you have to just look at the timing of all of that. It was kind of like dominoes in a way. As we shored up all of our losses, started managing the company properly, brought in Hulk Hogan, which is a big risk, but everybody believed in it at the time.
I was going to ask you, what was your reaction to that?
It was pretty positive.
Okay.
It was positive. It was not a tough sell from a Ted perspective.
And I do have a question about that, but go ahead.
Brought in Hulk. Now people started really believing in it. So they started giving me a little bit more rope. Well, now they gave me the money to bring in Gene. Then they gave me the money to bring in Bobby. And with each one of those acquisitions, the ratings started getting bigger, the pay-per-views started growing, the arenas started filling up again. So of course my budget started getting bigger. But it was a slow process. It wasn't like this golden ATM card.
When you first negotiated with Hulk, were you worried he was going to take the offer and use it as leverage to get back to WWE?
No, I wasn't concerned whether he was leveraging me or not. I didn't believe he would. Again, I keep saying this, but you go back and look at the context of that time. There was a lot of bad blood between him and Vince McMahon at that time. And a lot of it was very, very public. A lot of the animosity between Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan at that time was very, very public. I didn't really think there was any chance that he was leveraging me.
Okay. How long did the process of trying to get him to sign take?
I don't remember how long the process was in terms of signing Hulk Hogan. It was not long. It was a period of maybe a couple months, I think at the most, month and a half.
How important was Ric Flair in getting Hogan to sign? Did he help?
Ric Flair was critical. And I probably couldn't have, I don't want to say, that might be a little too strong. I doubt that I would have been able to sign Hulk Hogan without Ric Flair's help. Hulk was a smart guy. Hulk knew in order for him to have the kind of impact that coming to WCW was going to have on him, he needed to be working with the right guy and somebody that he could trust and somebody, quite frankly, that would make him look good. And he knew Ric Flair. Of everybody on our roster, Ric Flair would make him look good.
First impressions of working with Hulk?
I've always had a blast working with Hulk. Has he been a challenge? Yeah. Has there been moments where he frustrated me and I don't want to say angered me, but probably frustrated me and made me work 3 times harder at something that I need to because of his, silliness and the way he did things? Of course. Have we always seen eye to eye on things? Absolutely not. But I've always sensed an honesty, even though at times I knew he was working and I know the wrestling thing and all that. But deep down inside, as a person, he's always been straight with me. He's a generous guy. He wants to be a generous guy, but he can be very insecure at times. And that insecurity is the reason for a lot of the turmoil that people probably have seen and talk about and experienced. But I've never experienced that with him.
How important was Hogan's brand name when it came to rebuilding WCW?
Hulk Hogan's brand name meant everything when it came to rebuilding WCW. And again, I try to tell people, because people forget, they look at that time, before, during, and after, and kind of run it all together. But if you look at that time where WCW was trying to overcome its regional stigma, WCW was trying to get better syndication, WCW was trying to get better advertising rates. We're trying to do all these things simultaneously. Hulk Hogan was that one brand name that superseded everything else that we were doing that got us in the door. It was critical to our success.
Were you surprised when some of the WCW markets were booing and rejecting Hogan?
The markets that were rejecting Hulk Hogan were the television audience markets. While the audience may, because of the culture of professional wrestling and the North-South, NWA, WWF kind of Civil War, if you will, or not so Civil War. Sure, that was disappointing to a certain extent. We did anticipate it. It's not like we thought everybody was going, oh my gosh, Hulk Hogan's here. Everybody was, even myself back then, knowledgeable enough about the two different cultures that we knew there was going to be some resistance. And was it disappointing? Of course it was. But on the business side, it didn't matter.
Vince has said that Hogan legitimized WCW. Would you agree?
He was instrumental in it.
Yeah.
I think Vince McMahon and I have both said the same thing when it comes to that. He helped us transcend the regional stigma and mile and a half number 2 position that we had been perceived to be in and were in for so long.
Hogan brought in Randy Savage into WCW. Talk about the process of Savage coming into the company and what the process was like.
Hulk, I think I remember he called me. I was going through an airport. And he called me, paged me. I think I had a pager back in those days. He paged me, said, hey, brother, I got to talk to you. So we got on the phone, and he was just adamant about bringing Randy in. And anybody that's worked with Hulk, and if you look at his career over the years, there are certain people that he likes to work with, and he tries to, like everybody does, recreate the success that he had previously in some other formula or match or scenario. And that's normal in any business. And he really wanted to bring Randy in. And at that time, I was, we were starting to get to be on a roll. I think we were profitable by that time. For some in the history of the company, we'd ever been profitable. The numbers were starting to grow. Everybody was feeling good about everything. And I remember I called Randy. I think I talked to him on the phone the very first time. Got along with him great. And the good news about Randy is that not only was Randy coming, but Slim Jim was coming with him. The Slim Jim sponsorship actually paid for Randy Savage. I got Randy Savage for free, essentially. And nobody knows that.
Right.
And it was like, oh, he's spending more money on Randy Savage. This didn't cost me a dime. And it made it really easy.
What was Randy like to work with?
I really liked Randy. I say this, were there times when it was ultra challenging? Of course. He was an eccentric, intense, insecure, creative perfectionist. Okay, put all those things in one bucket and then step in it. Of course, there are times when it was uncomfortable. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I miss him.
Who are some of the guys that when you would, write ideas or go over the storylines would really challenge you?
Randy? Oh, really, brother? He's another guy. He was always looking for, okay, what do you really want? I know what you're saying, but what do you really want? That was constant with him. We'd always work through it, I laugh about it now, but it took some time, took some energy.
If some of the boys wanted to maybe add a little bit of their twists onto your storyline, would you allow it?
Sure, I would. Okay. Sure, I would.
TitleMatchNetwork.com